Hello, everyone. I hope everybody's watching. This is Dr. Rivera from Life by Design Chiropractic. I'm excited to be live today, this beautiful Thursday. And so I'll wait till people start coming on. We're going to be talking about how to lose the quarantine 19. The quarantine 19. Nutrition 101. I see Miss Christie. And so we're going to be talking about nutrition. I think the lockdown is still not over. However, people have probably gained a lot of weight during this time because everybody's been staying at home. And they've probably been eating potato chips, watching Netflix, and eating some ice cream. And so I think this is the perfect time to really be outside and start losing this weight that we've gained the past 2 months. And so I'm going to make it very easy for you and very affordable and show you how to really lose weight, the excess weight, and how to eat the right things during this time. And so if you're watching, say hi, say hashtag healing, tell me where you're from. If you're out of the state of Louisiana, let me know that you're there. And if you have any questions, you can write in the comments. I'll try to answer it at the end. But we're going to get started right now. And so as you can see, so hopefully everybody can see this. So nutrition shelf check. I think right now we're in a position to really, we have to realize, do we want to build health or do we want to build disease? And so when it comes to nutrition, we have to have some type of goal. We got to realize, okay, am I spending some proper money on food? Because really, if I just look at your bank account, I can tell you what you value. If I can just see how much time you spend on something, I can see what you value in life. And so when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to losing weight, like, you have to value it. You got to have some type of why that you're doing it. And so you have to check yourself and see, okay, what is going to motivate me? Because to me, I just want to be honest with you. Like, I don't think there's a specific diet that works for everyone. I think there's certain fundamental principles that apply to everyone, from babies to 120-year-olds, such as, let's say, who's heard of kombucha, sauerkraut, bone broth, kefir? Those things right there, those are great probiotics for your body, for your gut. It boosts your immune system. However, if somebody has like a histamine intolerance, that's not good. That's when you get runny nose, you get allergies, things like that. Raw veggies. I know you have heard of raw veggies and how much dense nutrients there is on raw veggies. Well, they're very good. They're good nutrition. However, if somebody has something that's called SIBO, which is small bacterial overgrowth, when somebody tries to eat raw veggies, that's when that bloating comes, the achy stomach, things like that. So can you see if what works for someone may not work for somebody else? So what I'm going to really give you today is really 3 things that can, if you just switch them, you will start eating healthier. But not only that, you're going to start losing pounds, fall off. And so it's very, very important. This is not no specific diet. This is just how God created people to eat, basically. Eat what God created. If God did not create it, if it didn't come from the ground, then it's probably not good for you, because it was probably made in a lab. It was probably processed. And so it's very simple, but I'm trying to make it more simple to you because there's so many choices out there. And so, but you have to know what you value. And how you know you value, just look at your bank account. That's it. And what you spend your money on, that's what you value, especially when it comes to food. If you value what foods go inside your body, then you're probably going to spend a little bit more money and time with those foods, and especially if you cook. And so let's go to the next one right here. So when it comes to these mental barriers, there's a lot of people, when they think about nutrition, they're like, oh my goodness, I've tried this, I've tried that. People say, I've tried this diet, but it didn't work. I've tried this diet, but then it hit a plateau. I couldn't lose weight. Food is just way too expensive. I can't do that. Things like that. So there's a lot of mental failures. And then it's like that stops us from going forward. That stops us from losing weight. That stops us from really eating the right foods, but our past failures. You cannot base your life off your past. You can learn from your past, but you can't have like a stronghold, let it have a stronghold on you, because it's going to stop you from moving forward in your life. And so like one of the biggest things when it comes to when I kind of coach and talk to people about nutrition is that you have to start somewhere, and start now. Maybe it's one thing, two things, three things, whatever it is, but you just got to start somewhere. And once you start and you keep building and building and building, and you start making changes. And so if y'all have notebooks, if y'all are writing stuff down, like please, like have some type of goal, something that is going to say, I'm going to start changing 1, 2, 3 things, and that's it. And then maybe in 2 weeks from now, you're going to start changing 2 or 3 other things. And then little by little, by the end of the month, by the end of the year, look how many little things have you changed, and look how much pounds have you lost. It's going to be incredible, but you have to document those things. And so, but when it comes to nutrition, there's 3 major dangers, 3 of them. And so number 1 is, I'm going to put this very like this. And so number 1 is too much sugar, too much toxins, and not enough good fats. Right here, these 3 things are the biggest culprits here in America. And so when it comes to too much sugar, too much toxins in our food, and not enough good fats, these are the biggest 3 changes that I'll be talking about. 3 biggest changes that I'll be talking about. So when it comes to revolutionizing our diet, we got to start. We have to understand this myth right here. I'm not sure you've ever heard about this, but I have bad genes. So if my parents were sick, then I will suffer the same fate. A lot of people believe that. And I'm here to tell you that Harvard did a study on this specific things. Does your genes determine if you're healthy or sick in the future? And what they found was around 10% of all disease is actually genetic. 90% of all other diseases is actually due to your environment, your lifestyle, what you put inside your body, what's around you, how you think, things like that. That is the most effective things that actually bring health up or bring health down in your life, especially during this coronavirus. And so like that right there, because my mama had a diabetes, my daddy had diabetes, my grandma had arthritis. Doesn't mean you're gonna have arthritis. Doesn't mean that you're gonna have diabetes. It's always a choice. It's really habits. What passes down from mom, from great mom to mom is habits. Because if your mom always ate Hawaiian bread, toasted Hawaiian bread with ice cream on the side, then guess what? When you splurge and stuff like that, that's probably what you're going to be doing. And so like, because it's just developing habits. So what can we do to start creating little habits right now so it can change the directory of my life, so I can live a life full of vitality, without sickness, without disease, full of life and vitality? That's the goal. I just hope so you can hang out with your grandkids and things like that. And so nutrition has a lot to do with that. But this myth has to get thrown away from your mind. God did not build for you to be sick. God built for you to build health and disease. To build health, not disease. And so if we can focus more on building health, what can I do right now in my life to build health in my body? That should always be the question. And then everything that you put inside your body, is this building health or is it building the disease? And it's a choice. It's very simple. And so let me get to the next PowerPoint right here. So inflammation. So inflammation, as you can see here, inflammation is a big culprit. And a lot of you, especially the older you get, the more inflamed we get. But the three things that causes inflammation is sugar, too much sugar, elevated glucose levels and insulin as a response, damaged fats, and toxins. Damaged fats and toxins. And so sugars, fats, and toxins. So too many bad fats, because if you think about it, when you put all these things inside your body, remember, your body has an immune system that is for you, that is going to fight for you. And then anything that's that your body does not recognize as normal, it goes and fights it. Inflammation, listen to this, inflammation for a short period of time is actually good for you, is actually healing you. If you didn't have inflammation for a short period of time, then something's wrong with you. There's something going on. You need inflammation in the short term in order for your body to heal. That's how white blood cells go to that area. If you twist your ankle, what happens? It swells up and it gets inflamed. It hurts, yes, but the reason it swells up because it becomes a stent, and it stops everything. It stops your ligaments and your bones from moving. So inflammation comes in, and of course it starts healing it. But when the majority of people, what they do and what they've been taught to do is, no, let me put ice on this ankle. Let me put ice on this ankle and let the inflammation go down, because it's not convenient to me to have inflammation. It is stopping my way of living, but you're stopping the healing process. And so inflammation for a short period of time is for your healing process. That's how God designed it to be. Why would God design something in your body to destroy you? That is not how you were created. So inflammation for a short period of time is actually good for you. You have to let it be. However, inflammation for a long period of time, 6, 8 years after year after year, and you're still struggling with inflammation, now that's called chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation is made by these three things right here in the PowerPoint. How's it going, Ms. Gloria? So these three things in the PowerPoint. So too much sugar, damaged fats, and toxins. And these if you start eliminating these three things, your inflammation will begin to slow down and come down. And then actually your pain level will actually go down if you have chronic inflammation. And so we're going to talk about these. So when it comes to, everybody's heard of this right here. In the chat, you know, are you can you say if you've heard this? You can say yes, I have. Say hi, put thumbs up. Counting calories is an effective way for healthy nutrition. So counting calories, this is a big myth. Is like, I gotta get low calorie, low calorie, low calorie. That's not good, because if you look at this right here, 22 almonds is the same amount of calories with a Twinkie. And so when you think about calories, that means I can eat whatever I want. It just got to be low calorie. But the Twinkie, everybody knows, is not healthier than the almonds when it comes to that. And so that's a myth. So it's not about the quantity of the calorie. It's about the quality of the food, not the quantity. It's about the quality of the food. What are you ingesting? What are you putting inside your body? What good stuff? Because if it's good stuff, you can eat as much as possible of that good stuff, because that's building health inside your body. It's not tearing it down. And so, like, it's not about the calories. You can throw that out your mind. It's not about the calories at all. It's not about your genes. Those are all myths. The truth is, it's about what you put inside your body, and it's about the quality of the food. And so, when it comes to sugar high, how can I say this? Americans are addicted to sugar. I mean, we just are. Americans are addicted to sugar. And the reason that is because you have an enzyme in your mouth. Well, really, the reason people are addicted to sugar because basically our brains and our bodies can only function within about 2 millimeters of sugar, 2 milligrams of sugar or more. If you have anything less to 2 milligrams of sugar or less, you'll probably be in a coma or you just won't be here anymore. You need sugar. Like you need glucose in order for you to have energy. However, when it comes to sugar, it's like here in America, it's just too much. It's in everything. And so, and when you think about sugar, what is the most common form of sugar? The people who are listening right now, if you can write down in the comment section, what you think is the most common form of sugar? Is it candy? Is it Cokes? Is it what is it? And so like that's important to know because the common form of sugar, it is not based off how sweet it is. The most common form of sugar comes in your grains, your pastas, your grains, your jambalaya, your rice, your potatoes, things like that. That's actually the most common form of sugar. The reason that is because we have an enzyme in our mouth called alpha amylase. And every time you eat a grain, that enzyme breaks it down and it turns into sugar within 4 seconds coming into your mouth. That's it. Within 4 seconds coming into your mouth, it turns into sugar. And so and then when you think about the normal American diet, for breakfast, what do we typically eat? Probably cereal, a Pop-Tart, things like that, a bagel, toast. What does that turn into? Sugar. For lunch, what do we typically eat? Probably like a sandwich, things like that. What does that turn into? Sugar. For dinner, we probably eat some type of like potato or rice or pasta. So when you think about this, all day long, we're eating sugar, and we don't even notice it because it doesn't taste sweet. A lot of people say, well, Doc, I don't have a sweet tooth. That's good. I'm glad you don't have a sweet tooth. But sometimes those type of people, they have to eat like a cracker at night. Like a cracker at night to really satisfy their sweet tooth. And so like what I'm saying is like when you think about like sugar, we have to lower down the amount of sugar that we eat. And that's not easy. And so especially people who are addicted to sugar, research shows that you actually have 10 times more receptors in your brain. The sugar has 10 times more receptors in your brain than we have for cocaine. That's how addictive it is. And companies know that. They put that in everywhere. They put sugar in everything. That's why you have to read labels. And so so what is so bad about sugar? Well, everybody knows it's the number one cause of diabetes. Everybody knows that. Also, research shows that you have a protein in the cell that every time you eat sugar actually turns on that protein and actually accelerates your chances of cancer. When we think about cancer, when somebody tries to find cancer inside your body, what is the scan that they do? Does anybody know? It's actually a PET scan. A PET scan. What is a PET scan? Well, they put a glucose molecule inside your body. They put a glucose molecule inside your body, and then they scan you. And then bam, it lights up like a Christmas tree. And so how do they find cancer inside your body? They put sugar inside your body. That's how they find it. And so because it feeds it. it feeds it and it grows it. And so one of the best things with cancer patients is they have to starve the cancer, and that's by decreasing the amount of sugar that they intake. And so like we know that also there's when oxidized glucose, oxidized sugar, when you have caramelized, there's these things called AGEs, advanced glycolytic end products. That's what it is. And what it is you, I'm not sure, it's basically sugar caramelized. You ever seen yeah, probably went camping and yeah, put roasted a marshmallow over a fire, and what does it turn into? It kind of turns brown, caramelized. Well, that happens to your skin when you eat too much sugar. It's called AGEs, advanced glycolytic end products, and that's due to oxidized sugar. So all these brown spots that people have, especially as they get older, that's oxidized sugar. And so like that, and so here's my advice: if you want accelerated chances of cancer, if you want to be diabetic, if you want to have all these sore, achy joints, if you want all these brown spots all over your skin, then yes, go eat a lot of sugar for the rest of your life. But if you don't want those things, you want to decrease the amount of pain that you're in, if you want to decrease the amount of sickness and things that you're in, and soreness, if you can't sleep, things like that, and decrease the amount of inflammation, you have to reduce the amount of sugar that you intake. And it first comes with grains. Decrease the amount of grains that you eat. And then, so like when it comes, what are good substitutes? Sugar. I'm done demonizing sugar. Okay. And so when it comes to sugar, a good substitute for sugar is stevia. Who's ever heard of stevia? Stevia is it's a natural root. Some people put in coffee, things like that. So stevia is it's better than cane sugar and things like that. Stevia, natural honey. Natural honey is a good substitute for sugar. When it comes to rice, a good substitute from rice is quinoa. Quinoa is a little bit more low glycemic. Quinoa is a grain, but it's a low glycemic grain. When it comes to bread, because it's so high in sugar with bread, a good one is Ezekiel bread. Ezekiel bread is a good substitute for regular bread. And so these are good little tips that will help you like switch out the things that we eat. And so, is there anything worse than sugar? Yes, there's something worse than sugar, and it's right there. It's called Splenda. It's called fake sugar. It's aspartame. Aspartame. So they're linking. Aspartame is like Sweet and Low, Splenda. Those things. That's actually worse than sugar. The reason that is because now fake sugar, what they have found out is that they're correlating aspartame to causing Alzheimer's and dementia. And so because it's causing a lot of neurological interruptions in your brain. And that's what aspartame does. It accelerates your chances of dementia, accelerates your chances of Alzheimer's. That's what studies show now. And so like you want to get away from this stuff. You want to get away from Sweet and Low. You want to get away from, if it has aspartame anywhere, any diet Coke, diet whatever. It doesn't matter what diet it is. Any type of soda that says diet, they have aspartame in there. You got to get away from that. It causes all these neurological issues with your mind. You start being forgetful, increase your chances of Alzheimer's, cancer, things like that. Like you got to get rid of all this diet stuff. And so that says diet things. And so just look at the back. If it says aspartame, it's definitely not good for you. It's actually worse than sugar. And so if sugar is so bad, what can you use sweetener? We kind of already talked about this. Is stevia. Fat makes you fat. So I'm done with sugar. But when it comes to fat, does fat actually make you fat? So this has been a talked about subject for so many years. And so when it comes to fat makes you fat, that's a myth. That's not true. And so there's a difference between good fats and bad fats. And so like when it comes to fats in the 70s, 80s, 90s. They talked about low fat, low fat, low fat. Even in the early 2000s, they talked about low fat, low fat, low fat. And the reason that is because they were trying to decrease the obesity epidemic. That's why everything was low fat, and they were advertising that. But what they found out, well, really, has that helped the obesity epidemic? Absolutely not. We're actually worse than we've ever been in the obesity epidemic. And so, like, when it comes to low fat, and the reason there was a low fat because they tried to decrease the obesity epidemic, well, that didn't help. And so, because the cause of obesity is it's not fat, it's the inability to burn fat, because we're so dependent on sugar for energy. Then we depend on that sugar, so we become sugar burners instead of fat burners. And so how can we become a fat burner? Well, you just decrease the amount of bad fats, and you decrease the amount of sugars, and you increase the amount of good fats. So there's a difference. There's a difference between a good fat and bad fat. When I talk about this, some bad fats, let's give an example. Canola oil. Who's ever heard of canola oil? So canola oil. So this is a big thing, because all fats are created equal. God did not create a bad fat. He did not create a bad fat. And so, but how does a bad fat turn into a good, how does a good, perfectly made fat turn into a bad fat? Well, what do? They hydrogenate it. And when they hydrogenate it, they heat it up and they turn it into a rancid fat. So when you think about canola oil, when you go to the store, what does it look like? It looks clear. It looks like a liquid. Canola oil in its natural form is actually a solid. So how does a solid turn into a liquid? Well, what? They hydrogenate it, changes the chemical structure of the perfectly made fat, and then bam, it turns into a rancid fat. What does rancid fat mean? It means not good for you. And then when we ingest it, guess what? Our brain and our bodies and our immune system is like, whoa, God did not create that in my body. Let's attack it and let's get it out of here. And that's when inflammation comes. That's when all these achy joints and things like that. And so, like, we had to get away. What are some examples? I think the next slide gives you some examples of good fats and bad fats. And so if y'all can screenshot this, take a picture of this. If you have any questions, you can, comment on there. And so bad fats, hydrogenated, all these oils, cottonseed oils, soybean oils, vegetable oils, those are all rancid fats. When it comes to butter, like, we have to be able to eat real butter. Like margarine, that's fake butter. I cannot believe it's not butter. Believe it, it is not butter. And so, like, if it's not butter, then what is it? It's fake butter. It's actually made in a lab. And so if it's made in a lab and it's foreign, you ingest it. What does your brain, your body do? Whoa, 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 whoa. What is that? So let's increase inflammation. Let's your army, your white blood cells, to attack it, to get rid of your body. Do you see that? And so we need to start switching the amount of fats or the good fats. These are the good fats right here. Extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, raw nuts, seeds, oils, raw butter, raw cheese, grass-fed meats, fatty fish. Very, very important. All these fatty fish is one of the best. Wild caught fish is the best source of fish you can get. Wild caught fish. The reason is because they have not been contaminated. Grass-fed meats. How can I say this? Meats, basically, you are what you ate, if that makes sense. So what you ate. Let's say you eat a cow. What did the cow eat? is what you're eating. And so, like, when it comes to cows, what do cows supposed to eat when you think about it? Well, what do they really eat? They eat grains. And so if you want to be as big as possible, what does grains turn into? It turns into sugar. And so they want the owners want the biggest calf, they want the biggest cow as possible. So what? They feed them grain so it can get as big as possible. However, that's a bunch of sugar. And so and then you eat it. And so, like, what we want to go into, what cows supposed to eat is grass-fed grass. That's what they're supposed to eat, is grass. And so, like, we want to lean towards grass-fed food, grass-fed beef. That's where we want to lean towards. And so, when it comes to grains, when it comes to your meats, you have to change your meats. It's got to be grass-fed. If not, then you're increasing inflammation. So when you have all these achy joints, sore joints, things like that, that's because you're just inflamed. You're inflamed all the time because you're eating the wrong type of fat, good fat. Because when it comes to grass-fed beef, who's heard of omega-3s, omega-6s? If you have a heart condition, you probably heard of omega-3s because your doctor probably recommended that. Why in the world would your cardiologist recommend omega-3s? Why is that? Well, because they know that because of your high inflammation and what you eat and things like that, it increases your chances of clogs. It's increasing your chances. Like, they're trying to balance your omega-3s and omega-6s. When you have high inflammation, that tells me that you've been eating high conventional meats. Basically, meats that have been eating grains, conventional meats, not grass-fed. And so what happens? And when that cow eats more grains, their omega-6s increase. And the omega-3s are down here. So they're not balanced no more. So why does your cardiologist tell you eat fish oil? Because you want to increase the omega-3s. However, if you keep eating the way you do, that omega-3 doesn't matter. You can eat as many omega-3s, but if you never change the way you eat, then guess what? The omega-6s, you're always going to be inflamed. So you had to balance the amount of omega-3s and omega-6s by changing just a little change. I'm going to change my meat today. I'm just going to eat grass-fed beef for the rest of the month. That's it. Bam. That's a big change. And then eating butter. Not margarine. Margarine is going to kill you faster than anything. You don't want to eat margarine. I mean, that's also studies have shown that's also clogging arteries, increasing cholesterol levels, increasing inflammation. You don't want to eat margarine, and so you want to eat real butter. And so, like, grass-fed meats, fatty fish, wild-caught fish is one of the best sources. And so, fat in meat causes heart disease, cancer, osteoporosis, and kidney disease. This is actually a myth. And so you've probably heard this, the fat in meats, like around the meat and things like that, causes all these things. No, the oxidation of these things, yes. And so, like, when it comes to this is a saturated fat. The saturated fat has actually been good for your. A study has shown that it helps people with osteoporosis, arthritis, inflammation, and things like that. It's good for your bones. Like, this good fat is actually good for your hormones. And so, actually, when it comes to hormones, at its base, every hormone in your body at its base is cholesterol. It's cholesterol. And so, like, when we think about cholesterol, I want to hit this hard real quick. Cholesterol is necessary for your body. A lot of people, I mean, it's like everybody knows, even 5-year-olds is saying cholesterol is bad for you. Cholesterol is actually good for you. You need cholesterol. Every hormone at its base has cholesterol. Every cell in your body, outside the cell, there's a fatty tissue, 2 layers of fat. 60% of your brain is made of fat. You have cholesterol in your brain. You have cholesterol outside your cells. You have cholesterol outside in your skin to make vitamin D. The only way you can make vitamin D is not by taking a vitamin D supplement, is by actually cholesterol actually makes vitamin D from the sun. So you need cholesterol. And so, like, especially if somebody's taking statins, a lot of Americans are taking statins or some type of cholesterol lowering drug. And so what they found is the if you take statins for a long period of time, yes, of course, it's going to lower your cholesterol. However, 80% of your cholesterol is made in your liver. And so when you take all these statins, it blocks all those cholesterol. It blocks cholesterol from making vitamin D. It blocks cholesterol from absorbing things into your cells. It blocks cholesterol from your brain. And so, I'm not sure if you've noticed this, but study is showing that the longer you take statins, the more forgetful you'll get, because it starts taking cholesterol out of your brain because it depletes it. And so people start getting dementia, start getting these Alzheimer's things and things like that. So it's very, very important. Like, you should not be taking a drug for the rest of your life. Your body was not built that way. And so like you got to start building these habits in order, okay, what can I do to help myself reduce the amount of medication that I'm in? And then it has to do with inflammation. If you reduce the inflammation, you reduce the need of taking that medication for the rest of your life. And so, and the biggest thing when it comes to this is increase the amount of good fats that you eat. And so I already kind of talked about conventional meats. It has too much omega-6s in your body. It has too much omega-6s, so you have to balance out your omega-3s and omega-6s. I already talked about this. Change animal products first. If you can get anything from this video, do this. Like, change to grass-fed beef, free-range chicken, wild-caught fish, and natural sources of dairy. If you do these things right here, my goodness, the amount of your inflammation will go down. Give it a month, it will start going down. But you have to be consistent in this. And so, like, you want to change the way you meat, change your oils, get good fat oils. And so, like, very, very important. In order to lose weight, you need 5 or 8 servings of grains every day for a healthy diet. You probably have heard this. People in food diaries and things like that. When it comes to this, remember, grains turns into sugar. And so you don't need too many grains, but you can get your good sources of grains like quinoa and things like that. And so that's very important to know that. And so, because if you're trying to lose weight and things like that, we have to stir our body and our metabolism to a different direction. And that's good fats, good sources of protein, good sources of meats and fish and things like that. We have to balance our omega-3s and omega-6s. It's very, very, very important, those things right there. And so when it comes to cholesterol causes heart disease, that's absolutely a myth. I already talked about cholesterol, how good it is, how amazing it is. You need cholesterol. Like, your body needs cholesterol. 80% of your liver makes cholesterol. Let me give you an example. I went to Africa a couple years ago. I did a mission trip over there. And in Africa, there are these big old potholes. I mean, it's like when you're driving, you have to miss all these potholes and things like that. It's like these craters. Like, it's crazy. And so, and I remember one time we were leaving a city, and there was this immaculate road, beautiful road. And then when we looked at it, I asked the driver, I said, hey, why is that road like so perfect? And we're riding on these crazy roads with all these craters. And he says, oh, that's the president's road. So he has this beautiful road for his supercars. And so when you think about it, inflammation inside your body, the reason I say that story is because when you have inflammation, chronic inflammation in your body, guess what? You have these craters in your arteries, in your walls, arterial walls. And what fills those arteries is, yes, plaque, cholesterol. Guess what? Who's on the scene? Cholesterol. Why is cholesterol in the scene? Because in order to fix those craters, guess what? You need a construction crew. You need people to put cement in there. You need a construction crew in there. And so same thing with your arteries. Your arteries, when you have chronic inflammation, it starts burning off these arteries. And guess what? Cholesterol's at the scene in order to heal you. It wants to heal you. And so, like, it's very important to know that cholesterol is good for you. It's just if somebody's taking statins, like, you got to talk to your doctor. How can I reduce these? How can I reduce these cholesterol lowering medications? Because if not, one of the biggest risks that you take is forgetfulness and all these like balance and coordination, neurological issues. Very, very important to know that. And so you need good fats in your body. The FDA and USDA is effective to protect the general public from dangerous products. That's absolutely a lie. If you just trust the government for everything, you better run. Get out of this country if you trust the government for everything. Because even though the government is trying to, I'm not trying to be political or anything like that, but you have to understand that you have to do your own research. The USDA, the FDA is built on money. They set guidelines and we have to follow them. Food industries have to follow them. There's always loopholes and things like that. But we just have to learn how to, okay, what are good sources of food and what are not good sources of food? I'm going to stick with good sources of food. I'm going to look for animals that eat grass, not grains. I'm going to look for food that are not caged up. They're actually cage free. Do you see? And so this is very, very important. You can't just trust everything the government tells you. And as I hope y'all can see during this this pandemic, I hope people are just getting tired of all the control that's going on. And so very, very important to understand. So toxic foods, this is very common. GMOs, genetically modified organism, pesticides, dangerous additives, hormones, antibiotics. And so genetically modified organisms, I mean, basically they make fake food. And if it's fake, guess what? That goes inside your body. Your body doesn't recognize it and it starts attacking it, increases inflammation. That's simple. That's simple. It doesn't have to be hard. Antibiotics, basically, if they feed antibiotics into an animal and we eat it, guess what? Those antibiotics go in us, and guess what? That starts destroying our gut flora, which is our good bacteria in our gut, which is responsible for our immune system. 80% of your immune system is in your gut. When you eat those toxins in our food, guess what? Your immune system starts depleting. Right now, especially in this global pandemic, do we want a good immune system or a bad immune system? We want a good immune system. So one of the best things that you can do is buying food that does not have all of these things. Additives, any food colorings, pesticides, things like that, we want to get away from. Because if not, that's causing toxins are a silent killer. Because toxins, you don't just get a toxin and boom, you get a disease. No, it does not work that way. Toxins accumulate in your body. And when they accumulate, guess what? It builds sickness and disease. That's why I always recommend some type of detox every quarter. Some type of detox every quarter. But that's another subject for another day. And so eating healthy is boring, tasteless, and too hard to do. No, that is not true. Literally, I eat healthy almost every single day, and I eat like a king. I mean, like it's very, very good food. Like you can have your favorite foods. You just have to change maybe the oils that you cook with, a different type of source, things like that. there's Facebook groups all over the place about the ketogenic diet, about good healthy foods, recipes, things like there's books on books on books on all these healthy recipes. And so I'm always posting a lot of healthy recipes. Patience, if you got your Align Your Health book that we gave you, it's on there. There's a bunch of recipes on there, things like that. And so there's always good food. You just have to switch. Just switch maybe your oils, your butter, your meats, things like that. Common belief: I don't need to take supplements because I can get adequate amounts of every nutrient from a diet. So when it comes to supplements, I get this question all the time. What is the best supplement to take? What supplements? What supplements? Well, this is my take on it. You do not want to take the cheapest supplement out there. You don't want to go to Walmart and take the cheapest supplement. Why is that? Because they probably won't pass your stomach. In your stomach, you have hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid literally will bite through anything, will destroy anything. So when you take a bad supplement, a cheap supplement, and that you ingest it, it's got to go through your saliva, and it's got to go through your esophagus, then your stomach. Then it's got to go to your intestines, and then finally you get to absorb it in your intestines. So when you take a cheap supplement, it probably won't go through your stomach. It probably stop at your stomach, you won't absorb it. So you're really wasting your money. You don't have to get too expensive. You don't have to get too, try to get right in the middle. You want to get a good quality whole food supplement. A good whole food supplement. You can't get everything from food. Like, it's very, very hard because we can only do so much. When we cook our food, it depletes a lot of the nutrients. And if you go to a grocery store, they spray a bunch of stuff. That's not just water when they spray stuff. That's actually a couple of chemicals. That's actually they gas your food to break all to take all that bacteria, and then you buy it, and then you try to eat it. And so that's why you got to wash your food. Like, it's very, very important to wash your food. And so, but when it comes to supplements, you got to have a good source of supplements. And so when it comes to a lot of nutritional deficiencies that I often see is this right here. Because calcium, vitamin D, I hope y'all are seeing this right here. Calcium, vitamin D, iron, vitamin B12, folate, and magnesium. These right here are what most commonly people are deficient in. People are deficient in these different types, and these are good sources. Calcium, you can get it from broccoli. Vitamin D, you can get it from good fatty fish, the sun. Iron, B12, folate, asparagus, magnesium. Avocado is full of magnesium. And so, these are good sources that you can get these nutrients. But if you feel like you're not getting enough of these nutrients every single day, then take a supplement. Take a good whole food supplement, and then you can get the right nutrients inside your body. And so, good quality, pure supplements. I already talked about that. This is what I sell in my office. This is real easy. I take this every single day. As you can see, there's a one for women and one for men, and it has all the nutrients. It has a multivitamin. It has a vitamin D. It has fish oil. It has magnesium. It has vitamin D3. And so, you can pick this up in the office. You can order it online. Just let me know if you want the link. I can post it on there. Things like that. And so, very, very important to get a good quality supplement. These are really the kind of the nutrition plans that I kind of help people get into. And as you see, there's a core plan and an advanced plan. the core plan is what the majority of people are in. Basically, you change the healthy fats is for disease prevention and if you want to take weight loss. But if you truly want to lose weight, you want to do the advanced plan. You want to do the advanced plan if you want to lose weight. And so that's for hormone repair, decrease inflammation. If you want to decrease disease, if you want to lower down your blood pressure, if you just want to restore your body, you want to stick to an advanced plan. And so, like, basically, advanced plan is this. This is what advanced plan is. Very simple. You eliminate your grains. You eliminate a decreased amount of sugars, decreased amount of fruits except berries and grapefruit. You want to replace your protein in conventional protein sources to natural sources of protein. And fats, you want to remove your bad fats and replace them with good ones. That's it. So you're switching. That's it. You're just switching sources. And you switch sources. You can eat the way you do. You just got to switch sources and decrease the amount of sugars. Eat more berries. That's it. They're low glycemic. That's why. Instead of like a banana or grapes and things like that, those are high in sugar. And so advanced plan focuses on this. So if you're trying to reduce inflammation, trying to lose weight, the quarantine 19, this is the best way to do it. And so foods to avoid. You want to avoid these foods. If you can take a picture of this, something like that, you want to avoid these foods with sugar substitutes, trans fats, fats that turn into rancid, highly processed foods, things like that. You want to avoid these. You want to avoid these. You want to avoid these. And so, very, very important. This is probably the best slide on here. Can everybody see this? I hope y'all can see this. Start reading labels. Start reading labels. When you buy food, just turn it around. Look at the labels, not the nutrition facts. Look at the ingredients. If it says any of these things, look at this: monosodium glutamate. Anything hydrogenized, not good. MSG, not good. If it says sucralose, anything ending with sucralose, like ose, that's sugar. That's what it is. Anything with NutraSweet, aspartame, that's not good. Hydrogenated anything denatures the fat. Refined flour, additives, colorings, preservatives, chemicals, things like that. Those are things to look for when you go and you shop. Very, very important. If you can just point these out when you shop, you know not to go towards them. Go towards something else that does not have these. Hopefully that makes sense. The first slide of weight loss was this one right here, I think. I believe so. This was that advanced plan. This is for accelerated weight loss. Hopefully you can see that, Ms. Gloria. This is the plan right here. 3 basic changes. 3 basic changes for the advanced plan. Three basic changes. And so hopefully you got that right there. Shopping, one of the biggest things that I always recommend, that we have to start planning our meals. Take a list. Please don't go shopping hungry. Please don't do that. Please don't go shopping hungry. Like, eat before you go, because if not, you're gonna buy more bad food. And so, like, we gotta spend more time planning and shopping with cooking than cooking. And so, like, you gotta start reading labels. I have this app. If y'all can write this down, I have an app right here. It's called Healthy Living. This right here is called this. Can everybody see that? Is the EWG website. It's the EWG website. It's called Environmental Working Group, Healthy Living. And so like it's the EWG. You can get it in your app store. But EWG, when it comes to food sources, products in your skin and things like that, how's it going, Roberto? When it comes to sources like that, like I use that as a source. You can put any type of food, any type of deodorant, things like that. And they'll tell you and it'll rate it. What's good, what's bad, and things like that. That's very, very important when it comes to if you have no idea how to label read, if you don't know what's good, what's bad, that's very, very important to know. And so that's a great EWG.org. Go to that website where you can download that app to assist you. These are kind of general health tips to help you. Listen, if you're used to eating a bad way, then this is probably not going to be easy. It's a lot easier said than done. However, you got to have some type of reason of why you want to lose weight, of why you want to get healthy, why you want to be filled with health and vitality. You got to have some type of why. If you don't have a why, then boom, you're going to go, any temptation is going to stir you wrong. And so like, you have to write it down somewhere. You know, I'm doing this for my grandkids. I'm doing this so I can help my grandkids. I'm doing this so I can find a wife one day. I can find a husband one day. I want to do this so I can be an example for my kids. I can be an example for my brother, you know, and things like that. I'm doing this because I don't want to take medication for the rest of my life. I mean, that right there should be a motivation out of itself. And so like, that's big. Like you got to have some type of why. You got to start thinking food as fuel, not sustenance. Like this is fuel to go with my purpose. This is instead of something else, you know, like you can't put your world around food. That's one thing. You got to add more healthy, nutrient-dense food. That's a good fats. You got to take away more unhealthy items. You got to spend more time planning and shopping. Very, very important. Spend more time shopping and planning. What are we going to eat this week? Because if you come after a long day of work, you're going to eat whatever's out there. And there's no much thought. But if you've thought it out, on a Sunday, if you thought about this is what I'm going to eat Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, boom. Stress is down. Your stress level's down. It's already planned. Very important when it comes to planning. And so hopefully that helped many of you. If you are listening, watching, you can review this this talk online. It's going to be up. It's going to be on my YouTube channel. Antonio Rivera, that's my YouTube channel. Just look that up. I'm trying to change the name, but YouTube isn't letting me. If you want to contact me, you can message me on Facebook. You can text the office at 337-564-6197. That's the number to the office. You can email me at Dr. Rivera at lifebydesignchiropractic.com. Things like that. If you're a patient, I hope to see you in the office. Hopefully this has helped. Listen, if you need help when it comes to losing weight, things like that, if you want a one-on-one consult, please let me know. Hopefully this has helped. All you have to do is little changes. What 3 things are you changing today? If you can change 3 things right now, what would it be? And so please do that. Please do that. Change something. Don't leave this talk doing nothing. That was a waste of time. You got to take 1 or 2, 3 things, boom, and implement that into your life. And then the next talk I do, you take 2, 3 things, and then boom, you implement that into your life. Very, very important. If you're trying to lose weight, if you want to live to 120 years old, this is vital, vital information. You know, like this is not just knowledge. You listening right now is knowledge, but you taking action with that knowledge is wisdom. Use wisdom, especially if you're on medication, you have chronic disease, things like that. If you're trying to lose weight, very, very important. So thank y'all so much. Have a good night, and I hope to see y'all in the office. Thank y'all so much.